Hi everyone, my name is Shelby Sanders, and today I will be giving a lecture on brand communities and how they create loyalty, identity, and sustainable growth. The article that I am building this lecture around is by Harvard Business titled Getting Brand Communities Right. In today's day, brand communities are becoming more important than ever. In a world where products can be copied easily and consumers scroll past multiple ads a day, what truly keeps people loyal isn't just the product, it's the community around it. Okay, so what even is a brand community? By definition, a brand community is a customer driven group of people connected by shared identity, values, and experiences around a brand, not just the product. Some key traits to list are social relationships, not just transactions, shared rituals, symbols, and traditions, and emotional meaning and belonging. Harley Davidson is a perfect example of this, and the article refers to them a lot. At its core, Harley Davidson is not just a motorcycle company. Being a Harley rider means joining a brotherhood, identity than simply owning a product. So, a brand community is not created by a logo or a marketing campaign. It's created when people see themselves in a brand and in each other. Before we move on, I want all of you guys to think about a brand that you feel a part of. Maybe it's a gym, maybe it's a soda company, maybe it's a clothing company. It could be whatever. Think of a brand that you feel has a strong brand community and that you feel a part of. Moving on to why brand communities matter even in the first place. Well, first, they increase loyalty and retention. Communities also can lower marketing costs in some instances because members spread the word for you. They provide quick feedback for innovation, which is very helpful information to have at hand. And people defend the brand when competitors show up. Most importantly, people feel ownership. They say things like, people like me use this brand. That identity is what keeps them loyal. Okay, going into our myths. So, something cool about the article that this lecture is centered all about is that they myth bust 7 different myths around brand communities. Now, we're going to go over each one of these and dive into the importance, starting with myth number 1: a brand community is a marketing strategy. Now, that is a myth, with the reality being a brand community is a business strategy. So going back to Harley Davidson, because the article loves to give plenty of examples about this company, they faced a time where the brand felt like they weren't going anywhere. And the company decided to not just change their marketing strategy, but every aspect of their business model, even their company culture. This is a great example of the importance of a brand implementing their brand community strategy throughout each business aspect. So when the company was failing in the 1980s, Harley-Davidson didn't just make new ads, they rebuilt their culture, products, and customer experience around riders. So ultimately, we have to remember, marketing alone can't build community. It has to be built into the entire company by, again, each business aspect. Okay, going into myth number 2, and that myth is a brand community exists to serve the business. The reality is a brand community exists to serve the people in it. The brand's role is to support, provide space, encourage member-to-member connection. So I'm going to give an example in my own life. A brand I feel does this well is Lululemon. Now, I have always loved Lululemon, not just for their smooth, buttery soft leggings, but for the way that they show up in the community and the way they serve the people. An example of this is Lululemon does a great job at hosting free fitness events in their stores. So the next time you go to a Lululemon, I want you guys to pay attention to their calendar, because they have a calendar in their store and they will tell you all about their upcoming fitness events, which are free. So, for example, I love to go to their Pilates events. I think they're so fun. As a Pilates instructor myself, I get to learn a lot about how I can improve, and I also get to connect with people that have similar interests. At its core, Lululemon hosts these free fitness events in their stores, such as yoga classes, run clubs, workshops. When you attend, nobody is trying to sell you any leggings. Lululemon focuses on member-to-member connection. You meet people who also care about wellness, you build relationships, you share a lifestyle. Their in-store ambassadors, local instructors, lead these events and become trusted guides. Because Lululemon supports people first, those people later choose a brand because they feel like they belong to something. So when a brand creates connection, purchases naturally follow. Now I want you guys to think, would you feel more loyal to a brand that invites you into a community like that? Because I certainly would, and that is a big reason why I am a huge Lululemon fan and why I feel connected to them. Okay, myth number 3 is that build the brand and the community will follow. The reality, engineer the community and the brand will be strong. This mindset recognizes that community is a strategic business asset. People seek identity, meaning, and belonging. Shared rituals, traditions, and roles drive loyalty. Now, what do strong community first brands do? They facilitate member to member connection, they build language, they create spaces where people feel valued, seen, and needed, and they allow their members to influence the brand story. So, really, just going back to my example with Lululemon, I feel like I have a member to member connection. I feel like I have the space to be seen and I can show up and even influence the brand story myself. I feel a part of it. At its core, humans, we are social creatures. We're looking for identity and belonging. We are not just looking for products. Into myth number 4, brand communities should be love fest for faithful brand advocates. The reality, smart companies embrace the conflicts that make communities thrive. Something that you might be shocked to hear. Conflict is healthy in community. Now, why is that? It helps clarify norms, it deepens belonging, it strengthens shared identity. And brands face danger when they shut down disagreements because that, in the end, kills authenticity. If you also think of it like this, brands who welcome conflict, healthy conflict, are able to learn more about what their community wants, what people are looking for, and they can strengthen their brand community by that. Okay, next, myth number 5, opinion leaders build strong communities. The reality, communities are strongest when everyone plays a role. Now, when brands enable role diversity, culture becomes self sustaining, belonging grows through contribution, identity forms from shared responsibility. The goal isn't just to spotlight a few heroes, it's to empower many contributors. Now, something that I see in today's day, full of social media, is that some brands rely heavily on influencers, but communities thrive when everybody plays a role, not just a few people at the top. An example of this that I have seen in the past few months of a company doing great at not just relying on one group of people is the company Dairy Boy. It's founded by an influencer, actually. Her name is Paige Lorenz. And Dairy Boy sticks out to me because I noticed that they were sending PR packages to just everyday customers. And this channeled a huge response on social media because the everyday customer was like, oh my gosh, I'm important too. I can contribute to this brand in a positive way, and I feel seen and heard. Now let's talk about an example that I have also seen in the past month that has been a negative part of this myth and section. I don't know if you guys know the brand Activewear. It is a fitness apparel brand, and they are known to rely heavily on influencers. So much to the point that every collection that they launch is backed up by an influencer. So it'll be, for example, if I was an influencer, my name's Shelby Sanders. Let's just say their holiday collection just launched. It would be called the holiday collection with Shelby Sanders. Now, every collection is linked to an influencer in that regard. Well, this Black Friday launch, so just a few weeks ago, they faced severe backlash to the point that customers were saying, I never want to support this brand again. You sent out so much PR to influencers that the day the collection launched, real customers couldn't get their hands on any product. And the interesting thing about this is that's not the first it's not the first uproar I have seen about people being mad about how much ACTA heavily relies on influencers. This is something you got to keep in mind if you have a brand to, of course, use your resources. Influencer marketing is a huge thing nowadays. But when you rely so heavily on influencers that other people don't feel valued, that's going to have some repercussions, and you got to take that into an account. Okay, moving on. Myth number 6. Online social networks are the key to a community strategy. This kind of ties back into what we were just talking about. The reality, online networks are just one tool, not a community strategy. So I have grown up with social media for most of my day, but a true community should be able to disappear from Instagram for a week and still exist in the real world. In today's day, with social media being a top way to reach people, companies often confuse followers with members, with community. Just because people hit like or follow doesn't mean they care. Online platforms are helpful tools, but communities must live beyond the feed. Now, a good example of this would be Patagonia. Their community is about activism and environmental purpose, not just for Instagram content. They have a mission that goes beyond Instagram and TikTok. And you can see this in the way that they interact with customers, both online and in person. Before we move on, I want everyone listening to this lecture to think about what they would do if they had a brand. So maybe you're an entrepreneur. Maybe you have your own brand. Maybe you're an aspiring entrepreneur. You want to own your own company one day. I want you guys to think about that. I want you guys to think about what you're going to do in the future or even right now to make sure that you have a community that would be able to exist without Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever the platform is. Now, I'm going to give one more example from my personal life. This semester, I have began at my dream of opening a clothing company for women. The mission around it is to provide women with support around body positivity and accepting yourselves, which isn't usually tied to the fashion industry, right? So I want to be one of the first fashion brands to combat that negative narrative. But an example of how I hope to strive to keep my community online, which is important, but offline, is to host monthly events where women can come together. They can shop, of course, the product will be there, but they will be able to learn from people. So I want to have speakers come in. I want them to give speeches about how they were able to disconnect their worth from their appearance. Things like that. So, of course, at the end of the day, the product will be involved, but that's not the community's focus. Going on to our last myth here. Myth number 7. Successful brand communities are tightly managed and controlled. The reality of and by the people, communities defy managerial control. Okay, this is a myth because companies often try to police behavior, enforce rules, control conversations, approve everything. But thriving communities are of and by the people. They're unpredictable, they develop their own rituals and even slang, but when the brand gives members ownership, belonging only grows stronger. Brands don't manage communities, they trust communities into existence. Now, the best communities are unpredictable, like I said. They grow in directions maybe the brand never planned, but that could be a blessing. That could be something that the brand never saw to come, but it turns out to be very successful. They innovate from the bottom up, and like I said, they can develop their own roles and even traditions. Conclusion. The concepts discussed in this Harvard Business Review article remain highly relevant and valuable for business today. Now, this article was written back in 2009, but it is still relevant. We can take what we've learned from social media, influencer culture, user-generated content. The idea of building authentic brand communities have become even more critical. Consumers no longer engage with brands solely through advertisements. They connect through shared experiences, stories, and values expressed across digital platforms and as well in person. Modern brand loyalty is shaped by interaction and belonging, not just by the product quality or price. Businesses that understand how to build a strong brand community will be successful in increasing brand loyalty and strengthening relationships with consumers. Okay, we're going to head into a discussion/activity, and I want you guys to go back to the brand that you may be developing, or maybe you have your own business. And if you don't have your own business and you don't want to own your own business, that's totally fine. I want you guys to maybe think of a company that already exists if none of those questions resonate with you. Okay, so for me, I'm going to go back to my clothing company that I am starting. We're going to answer these questions to see if our brand is ready. Are we willing to let customers influence our direction? Second, can we invest in community for years, not just months? Do our actions support culture, not just messaging? Are we prepared for conflict and diversity? And I will add, if we are prepared for this, do we have a plan? Do we have resources to help? And lastly, can we celebrate members more than ourselves? Having a brand community is about being selfless, about putting people before ourselves, and recognizing that people's input and feedback can contribute to the brand community improving and becoming better. Now, if you're interested in learning more about this concept, I have linked more resources here. I would love for you guys to head to the article that this lecture has been centered around, read it for yourself. It has great information, and I want to thank you for joining me today. I hope you have a good one.